wanting to make this video for a little while now, but I'm glad that I waited. I have more information to share. I've been receiving emails and texts, and even last night on the live stream, some people were asking me about the update of the hostage releases, and so I wanted to give you the latest information on that. So far, there's been 2 sets of hostages released, so in other words, for 2 days. The first day, all but one of the Israeli hostages which were released were from Nir Oz, and in that village, in that small town in what's called Otef Aza, surrounding, just on the other side of the border from Gaza, 1/4 of the population of that town was murdered or is currently missing. And so just to give you an idea of the tragedy that took place just in that one town. So that's called Nir Oz. And 12 of the 13 Israeli hostages, the first day which were released, were from that town. And the first day there were also 11 foreign nationals which were released. Now those were all from Thailand, and that was with a deal which was brokered separately with Iran or through Iran. And so those we're thankful for any release, but that was a little bit of a different negotiation. Now, last night, there were 13 Israelis and 4 foreign nationals who were released. And I don't have the information on the foreign nationals which were released, but so far for the Israelis, it's been elderly women, a couple of mothers, and their children, and some other children. So those are who have been released of the Israelis so far. Tonight, they're expecting 13 Israelis and 7 foreign nationals, and I don't have more information on that. Up to this point, as I said, it's women and children who are being released, and there is no expectation for any release of any soldiers, male or female, in any of these releases, or exchanges, I should say, because don't forget, Israel is giving or returning many terrorists who are currently serving time in Israeli prisons. So this is not just a free receiving of hostages. We are going to be paying a heavy price for this, because those terrorists will go back to their communities, and most likely, if history is any predictor, will commit more terrorist attacks against Israelis. I think it's really important to note that yesterday or last night, one of the children which was released was a little girl who also has Irish citizenship, and her mother had passed away a few years ago, and the father, of course, was just devastated, and originally he was told that his daughter was dead. And then it turns out that she was still alive, and she has been reunited with him. It was a wonderful scene to see. But the Prime Minister of Ireland made a statement that an Irish little girl who had been lost for 50 days was found and is now with her father. No mention that she was a hostage. No mention that was part of this October 7th massacre. Nothing. Just that this little Irish girl who was lost has now been returned to her father. So this reminds me of a short video that I saw the other day. It was an interview with Ben Shapiro, and he was saying that we are now living in a post-truth era, and he was talking about since October 7th occurred that he's just had this pit in his stomach, and I can relate to that because it has really bothered me what happened. It's not that far from where we live, you know. Just think if you were sitting one day and you found out that about 1,300 people had been brutally massacred, just that if you're in the U.S., just maybe in the same county that you live in, just a short distance away. It's just really hard to take in, and just, you know, immediately almost the world has turned against Israel. We no longer have a right to defend ourselves. It wasn't as bad as being reported. It's just been unbelievable, the coverage of most of the media. Not even that they're terrorists, that they're just some sort of militants that came in. It's just horrific. And the United Nations, part of the United Nations, which focuses on women and the equality of women, the, you know, rights of women, they are totally silent on how the Israeli women and girls were brutalized because they're females. And so just this double standard, this total lack of care for what happens to Israelis is an eye-opener. And I think for all believers, we should understand that as time goes on, this is going to be the case for believers. So we already see that in other parts of the world. We have a team in Ethiopia who is struggling with dangers because of what tribe they're from, or, you know, if they're believers. So we need to really be preparing ourselves for what is to come. And I've just been spending a little bit of time in Psalms. As you know, perhaps, Baruch, my husband, is teaching through the book of Psalms right now, and it's quite a long book of the Bible. He is in Psalm 119, but I was looking at Psalm 18, and I just wanted to read a couple verses because I have been very burdened by what's going on, and it's been very difficult for me to just comprehend what has been happening. So I want to just read a couple verses from Psalm 18. I will love thee, O Lord, my strength. The Lord is my rock and my fortress and my deliverer, my God, my strength, in whom I trust, my buckler and the horn of my salvation, and my high tower. I will call upon the Lord, who is worthy to be praised. So shall I be saved from my enemies. The sorrows of death compassed me, and the floods of ungodly men made me afraid. The sorrows of hell compassed me about. The snares of death prevented me. In my distress I called upon the Lord, and cried unto my God. He heard my voice out of his temple, and my cry came before him, even into his ears. So this is just a psalm, just those few verses of encouragement to us when things are overwhelming, when it just seems like that we are surrounded by evil, those who wish evil of us, those who hate the Lord. Remember, if they hated Yeshua, they're going to hate us. We should not be surprised by this. But this is something in the world that has changed in the West, which has changed very rapidly. And I think it has taken us a little while to get caught up to exactly how quickly things are turning against us. But I just want to encourage you today, encourage myself, as we hear of awful news, that if, you know, as we see what's going on in the world, as we are misrepresented, misquoted, lies are being told about us, not to worry, not to fear. God knows. He's our protector. He's our Savior. And through all things, I would just encourage you to be in the Word. It will give you peace, it will give you comfort, it will give you joy, and it will surround you with love when you feel lost, alone, or attacked. So thank you for joining me today. I'm glad I could bring you a little bit of an update. There will be more hostages released tonight and tomorrow night. At least that is the plan. So I would just ask that you pray that the hostages will get back, the ones that are planned, but then also please pray for Israel to have a strong presence as soon as this is over, these hostage releases, because remember, we have more people there, and there is still Hamas. The Hamas leader is still there, and some of the main people. We need to rid Gaza of all of Hamas, and we need to not stop until that is done. Because when we do a partial cleaning out, like we've done several times over the past 10 years or so, it just comes back. They just get their weapon stashes built back up. They make more plans on how to attack us. And so they need to be permanently removed from Gaza. So I would ask that you would pray with me that this would be accomplished. Now, even though this is a serious video, I did want to go ahead and provide a short recipe at the end of this. Now, this is one that is so simple, but it's very good, and I hope that you'll enjoy it and make it all winter long. It's a great little snack to have in the winter time. So thanks for joining me. I will plan to have a new video very soon, and thank you for hanging there with me as I try to become more regular in putting up videos. So God bless you. Welcome to the cooking portion of the video. It's a little embarrassing to even show this recipe today because it is so easy. This recipe is called the very best homemade cornbread recipe, and it's true. There are a couple of kinds of cornbread, and what I mean by that is some are the more savory type, which would have some spices in them, such as maybe rosemary or something like that. And then there are the others that are a sweeter cornbread. And this one today that I'm making is sweet. It's delicious. It is a dairy one, so you could try, if you don't want dairy, you could try something, some sort of milk and butter substitute. So you could use margarine and maybe, I don't know, even a coconut milk or something like that in it. I've not tried that, but that is a guess. So let's get started. First, I have measured out already 3½ teaspoons of baking powder. And to that, I am adding 1 cup of cornmeal, and then I'm going to add 1 cup of flour. So you can see I've sifted all of my flour, so that is sifted flour. So far I have in here the cornmeal, the flour, and the baking powder. And to that, I'm going to add 2/3 of a cup of granulated sugar. So this is 1/3. And so I'll put in 2 of these. 1, 2. Like I said, this is so simple, but it's very delicious. And it's going to be hard for you to stop eating it. Trust me. Okay, so next I'm going to put in a teaspoon of salt, 1/3 of a cup of melted butter, which I have already done, a cup of milk, and 1 large egg. So I tend to not get my mixer out too often if I don't have to, because it's kind of put away back in a cupboard. So I'm just going to stir this by hand, and I'll be back with you in just a minute, and I'll put it in the pan. Okay, welcome back. Now I have stirred up the cornmeal, the cornbread batter, just fine, and I'll transfer it into this pan. Now you can double the recipe and put it on a large pan. You can put it in a round kind of cake tin, or I have this one here in a square that'll work just fine. I believe it's an 8x8 pan. So I just take my spatula, put it all into the bowl, and I'm looking forward to having this done because I'm hungry. So I just get that nice in there, and it's all right here in the pan. And then I'm going to put it in a preheated oven of 400 degrees. So when it's done, I'll bring it back and show it to you. And here you have the final product, a nice sweet cornbread, still hot, and I'm going to close now so that I can eat it. God bless you, and I look forward to our next video.